2015 will be remembered as quite a year when it comes to the land market and other things involving agriculture. We're going to talk now more about that with Jim Farrell, who is President and CEO of Farmers National Company based in Omaha. Jim, as we look at what we've seen this year, we're finally maybe plateauing again after the highs and the lows, the ups and downs. Are we, in a sense, at that new norm again for a while?
We hope we are. We have seen a soft real estate market since 2013. Overall, in the central Midwest, we anticipate a 10 to 15% drop has taken place in real estate values for the top land. Poor quality land has deteriorated more, actually. The exception, though, is when you get into the areas like western Nebraska or the Sandhills areas, when we're selling rangeland or the pasture areas, that's selling very, very well. And actually, in some cases this summer, we saw some new highs put in that type of sale.
Let's talk about somebody that's aggressively in the market. That group, the Farmland Partners Group, just announced a few days ago they made another big purchase in Illinois. They are how much of a factor are groups like that playing in what we're seeing with land values right now?
They always have some influence on land values in a local area. In a general sense, throughout most of the Midwest, the land investment trusts and the other investment groups are not buying as much land right now as they were in 2006, 7, 8, even 9 and 10. They are concentrating more of their efforts in other areas. We see more activity with the funds and the REITs down in areas like the Mid-South, or if you go into the Northwest area of Oregon, Washington, Idaho areas, to a lesser degree California due to some of the water issues and restrictions there. There are some issues there that are driving that market, but when you get out of that market, the Northwest with the cropping options they have, land values didn't escalate out in that area as much. We actually have seen some increase in land values in states like Washington State, where we have an office in Pasco.
Well, as we look, the other thing that you're heavily involved in is always looking at the ag economy. This year also we're going to see a dramatic drop once again in farm income due to commodity prices. There's also talk of raising interest rates. Maybe give us your overall picture of the way you see agriculture, the farm and ranch landscape coming into the next year.
Well, right now we are seeing less deterioration in cash rent than we anticipated. So on average with the farms that we manage, our managers are indicating we're seeing 5 to maybe 8% drop in cash rent on average. Some are staying steady. Quite a few cash rents didn't move at all, and some maybe moved a little more than that. And all depended on where they were at in relation to the market. So if they're really high in the market, you're seeing a little bit more adjustment. If they were not quite at market, then they might be staying steady. As to the income, we just had our year-end board meeting, and we were discussing that at the board meeting because we sell a lot of grain on behalf of clients, and we have about 50 to 55% of the 2015 crop is already sold. And the price that we have for that is pretty close to the average price we had in 2014. So in reality, we didn't see much deterioration there in the pricing. So I think that farm operators are maybe seeing the same thing. Income might be a little more stable than what one might think when you look at the markets, if they did a good job of marketing their grain. And I think grain marketing has become a real critical thing today, where 3 or 4 years ago it wasn't as critical.
Last thing I want to talk about is you mentioned you had your year-end board meeting looking to the future. We continue to hear the trend of we're going to continue to see land changing from generation to generation. Folks out there that may be in the process of inheriting or coming into land, maybe they're off the farm, are there some things that they need to be discussing, looking at as maybe hiring a group like you to help manage or to liquidate, or things, maybe those that have been removed from the farm that don't know exactly what steps to take?
Well, Ken, that is our business. Company started in 1929 just working with non-operating landowners. We've learned over time that some of the more important services that we provide are a simple peace of mind that the asset's being taken care of, But in an even broader sense, and we talk about this a lot with clients now, as we've kind of discovered this is a key area for them, and it's succession planning. So if you're mom and dad and you farm this land and your kids are going to inherit it someday and they don't know anything about it, but you would like to keep that land in the family because it's an historical piece of land, perhaps your ancestors settled there or whatever, we become a real key to that because we can allow that transition between generations. We coach a lot of landowners to think about, as they establish their trust, to realize that when they put their family members into ownership of that land, they're putting them into ownership of an operating business. It's not like giving them shares of stock in a equity investment on Wall Street. It's different, and we see a lot of times disagreements take place, or we see that one family member might want to sell and the others don't. So we encourage landowners to think about putting in their documents a transaction process. If one wants out, how is that going to look? How is it going to be valued, and so on? Those are things that I think make good sense for any landowner who's doing some succession planning.
All right, Jim, thanks for the update. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Ken.
Jim Farrell, the president and CEO of Farmers National Company, has joined us. That's the Ag View. I'm Ken Rogers.